Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever the fuck you are. I hope you're having a beautiful day. We ended up doing really great this week. We ended up seeing about 7 to 800% in returns on the trades that we ended up taking, and yeah, it's honestly a great week. Obviously, we've talked about this before. This low right here throughout the entire market was massive, right? It's a big reset. We ended up, really needing that. Everything was at all-time highs at some point recently. People were just continuously buying every dip, rightfully so. And from there, we ended up from this 156 level, we ended up coming back into this 166, into this 170. Now, from this 170, we ended up rejecting to this 165. This 165 ended up holding, right? And I mean, if again we look left, just like the first basic video we did on TA, if we simply look left, we could see that this is a big area where there's a lot of not only volume, but there's also a lot of consolidation, right? And in this specific level, we ended up bouncing from. We ended up seeing this 170 and above. We rejected here. We held here, so we're kind of just waiting for a break on either side. I believe a break of this 170.26 and then this 171.05 should inevitably take us to this 173.17, and then putting us into this probably 175 area before another big rejection. We were in this play. We are in this play, rather. We took a hedge on it, actually, and that hedge was, I believe, the 170 call and the 165 put for September 27th, I believe, was the expiry for about $300 a piece. We ended up seeing a 65% return on it. We cut our calls the day before. They were down about 21%. So overall, we saw like a 42 to 45% increase in the value of the contract that we're holding. And that contract also comes from a challenge account that I'm actually doing. And that challenge account is thankfully doing really well. We're up like 12%, I believe, just slowly compounding, taking our wins when we see them, and just kind of going from there. Anyway, if we end up breaking this 166 level, I'd like to see this 161 before we see this 155 again, right? I do think that if we come back down here and we end up breaking this 161, again, looking left, we see that there's a ton of rejections here, and then we ended up blasting through. And this is going to be, or this rather, I'm sorry, this April or August 5th to this August 16th were the first time since we broke this level that we have retested. So in order for us to create more support, I would just assume that we come back down to this level. If we don't, then this 166.14 holds, push into this 170.26, 171.05, all the way into this 175 area. That's really what I believe would happen. So that's kind of all that I see for Google. Now, this is another name that we've talked about 1.5 million times. I talked about my 197.12 level. I don't want to hear it from fucking anybody. It literally was beautiful and it was perfect. And the low of this candle was 196.70. So, bite me, but that's a pretty goated level if I do say so myself. Anyway, with IWM, we ended up having an insane fucking move on Friday. We ended up seeing 215. We ended up seeing a $5 move on IWM intraday, which typically does not happen. So it was a really strong day for small caps, right? Okay, so from here, 223 is still him. It's still him. I mean, if we don't break it, we're not going anywhere. If we do break it, I'm probably gonna have to switch my. Let's go to. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. What's happening? We're on the 1 minute. Got it. We go to the weekly. Here we go. Okay. Again, it's him, right? If we break it, we have even more confluence in this level, in this area, at this 230. If we break 230, we are indefinitely going to 235, and we should push to all-time highs. I just don't see why we wouldn't. And yeah, I mean, it just makes the most sense to me. So realistically, I'm really looking for this 223.84 level to be retested or broken, Once it is broken, we do need a retest. If we don't get a retest, we end up continuing to push, wait for that 228.60 it looks like here to break or to reject. And then from there, we should see again this 223, this 215, this 208 to the downside. To the upside, we see that 230, 231. And then right here would, in my opinion, be the best trigger for us is this 233.73. You see that there's a multitude of candles that rejected this level. When we ended up coming down again through this level, we ended up seeing a massive, massive sell-off. So continuously look out for this 233 level, or 234, I guess we could just call it, level, and this 223. If we end up getting a good retest on this 223 after we do break it, then I believe that we're going to go to all-time highs. So that's kind of what I see for IWM. If we do end up, breaking down below this 206.38, we do end up seeing this 200 level again, which would be great for another long. So that's all that I see on IWM. Guess who we have today? Obviously, we have the myth, the legend that is what just happened to my screen? That is Nvidia, right? We have earnings coming up. We are at a pivotal point on the chart. And if we end up breaking to the upside, genuinely, I really think that we could see all-time highs again. Seeing some analysts predict $160 billion is honestly an insane thing to see. And I don't think that it's something that's impossible for Nvidia, especially because they're currently blowing every single other chip company out of the water, right? Everybody looks at Nvidia for their chips. And especially when it comes to AI, I think that this company will obviously be the biggest and benefit the most personally. So from here, I'd like to see just 131 break. This 131 should push us higher into this 134. 134 pushes us into this 136, then this 137.50, then all-time highs. Now, do I think that earnings will blast us through and we'll go to 170 overnight? I don't believe that. No, I don't. I genuinely and highly doubt that would happen. And if it did, that would be incredible because we're in 160 calls, I believe, for January. Also, we're also in 97 puts for January as well. So we're really looking for a big retracement if we end up having it. We took some calls down here, however, and we ended up playing it for a couple 100%. I can't really remember. On Friday, I ended up playing it also for 100%. But what do I see overall, given earnings, given the state of the market, given Jackson Hole on Friday, given all of these different events that are occurring that'll affect the volatility of this stock? I really just want to see 123 break, 118 break, and I would love to see 110 again. I don't think that that's out of the question. If Nvidia, when it comes to earnings, and this company specifically with earnings, everybody knows they're going to beat, right? The entire market expects them to beat, especially in a way that is more conducive to the general health of the company as it progresses and moves forward and continues to grow. I do think that we end up coming back down, but if we don't, again, I just really want to see this 131 break, 135, 137, and then pushing into all-time highs. So we definitely have a lot of range, and this range could be the make or break for Nvidia, right? I mean, pushing all the way up here before earnings is a big risk that everybody is taking because they're, again, assuming it's going to go higher because we know they're going to beat analyst predictions. But there has to be some incredible surprise, in my opinion, that continues to drive the price higher and higher and higher. So that's really all that I see on Nvidia. I would like to see 100 again. I don't know if we're going to get that, but I would like to see this 110 at least. So that's really all that I see for the world's most valuable company, Nvidia. Of course, we got to look at our baby girl Apple, right? We ended up seeing that under 200 again. This under 200 was huge for us, and people did not want. I mean, again, at one point we ended up rejecting here 3 times, more than 3 times, obviously. but a multitude of times, too many times to fucking count. I don't have enough fingers and toes to fucking count how many times we rejected at this goddamn level. But we rejected, and then we ended up coming down to retest it, and we fucking blasted right back off, right? We ended up seeing about a 31-point move from its lows. And from its lows, we are at 226.84. We rejected here quite a bit, three times already, right? So right now, 223.31 is the make or break for Apple. You see on this daily chart, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days where we closed green on Apple. Of course, we're going to have a day with pullback, but are we going to get more pullback? Apple tends to do this from time to time, but I personally would like to see a good pullback, probably to this 218 level. If not there, then 215 for sure. I think that would be a fair pullback for Apple, especially considering they're having a, I don't know why the fuck I sounded like a sheep right there, but especially considering the fact that they have their event on September 10th, right? Their last event, they ended up dumping. They ended up, unveiling some really, or it was either last year or 2 years ago, where they ended up unveiling some really cool shit, some really nice shit. Obviously, it's Apple. It's the biggest, one of the biggest tech companies ever, and we all use their products every fucking day. So, they're unveiling stuff on September 10th. Usually we do see a big sell-off on Apple during those days, and then we end up seeing a good recovery. So if we do see a sell-off, then I definitely would consider going long. Here, if I were to go long, I mean, I'd just like to see 223 31 hold, right? 221.33, or just like, oh, man, maybe even 220, right? I think that would be the better idea, is to wait for that 220 reset for us to continue to push up higher. And even then, Nvidia is going to make or break the market, right? Again, not saying that the stock will go up, 10,000 points overnight. However, it has been running the market, and it will depict what ends up happening. We had earnings for Apple. They ended up dying. It ended up dying because of the day of the dumpage that we ended up getting in the market. But we had a good recovery off of it, and their numbers weren't bad. So we'll have to see what they're going to do for this event. They're going to unveil a lot of their AI shit that they're integrating within their phones, within their watches, probably within their AirPods, all of their products, right? So that's kind of something that we have to look out for. AI is a buzzword in the current day, so we should see some reaction to it. Again, if we end up coming down to this 215, I am for sure going long. If we go to 220 and we hold, then I'll probably go long there in order for us to push back towards 230. So if we end up breaking this 226.84, 228.47 is next. Possibly, yeah, I mean 230, of course. And then I'd like to see this 232 area to this. Yeah, 232.54, I think, is our trigger for bigger downside, or a break to all-time highs. So that's really all that I'd look out for on Apple. And quickly, I just want to show you guys exactly why we took this trade on Friday. Our contracts went from $99 to $625 a piece, so about a 625% return on Thursday. So the reason why we decided to enter puts was because this specific level here, this 484.32, continuously being rejected, and then when we break, we ended up rejecting, and we retested up here. We did not hold, right? Now this level also is where we had been rejecting. So once we broke this, I knew that, especially after market consolidation from Monday to Tuesday, and then all the way to Wednesday, we were going to definitely see a move Thursday, Friday. It's just typically what happens whenever we have big bits of consolidation, right? We end up having a massive move. Whether it be up or down is up to the market, but that's typically what happens. So we ended up taking the breakage of this 483.50 level is something that I talked about in my idea. And this level was continuously being rejected. At the time also, I trade on a 3-minute time frame intraday. At the time also, this was the 200 EMA. was around, you know, this area. This 483.50 and the 482.50 was the 200 EMA. So we ended up rejecting it, again, breaking down from some very pivotal levels that we've been trying to break over in a range of consolidation for now. At this point would be 3 full days. This would be the fourth. We're definitely going to see a move, and if we end up rejecting, then we should enter based off of that rejection, because the thesis may be playing out to be correct, right? So we entered here. I believe it was like 8:31 when we had entered, and we were at 482.90. I wanted a retest of this 483.50, but we ended up not getting it. We entered here, held for a second, and we ended up seeing a massive, massive, massive drop. We were trading within a channel. We broke out. We ended up failing the breakout, coming back down, and we just fucking drilled. So, I obviously did not hold for the entire move. I held for 200%. I believe I got out somewhere around here. If I did hold for that entire, you know, move, it would have been incredible. But it just did not happen. So I personally did not think that we would see this 473.45 area. This is a massive a massive fucking retracement, right? We entered here and we see this retracement all the way down here, come back up. We're slowly making our way back up. However, we do have more points of resistance that we're going to run into, right? If we end up breaking this 479.72 level, expect 478.22, 478.22 into 475.40, 475.40 into 473.45. If we do break this, I do think that we see significant downside. 472.61, and then probably around 471 to 470. That's what I think could happen to the downside. Not to the upside. We should definitely add this to our chart right now. 480.86 should be added to your QQQ charts, as this should be a relatively big break for us to continue to go upward, right? Possibly pushing into this 482 area, 482 into 483.50, like we were talking about earlier from our big break, into 484.34, and then pushing over 485, 486.88, continuing into this 500 level into all-time highs. So that's kind of just what I see for QQQ. And also, that's exactly why we took this play, was because there was a rejection of the 200 EMA, and we ended up breaking down from a level that we had previously been trying to crack through for multiple days on end. And without it holding as support, when we saw this come through, we knew that we were probably going to get the retest, ended up not getting it perfectly. However, price decided to not press higher, and we entered, and we ended up making 625% play, 200% on my part, but nonetheless, it was a great play. So yeah, just look out for this 480.86 level. It's where we rejected, and this is where we bounced also. As you could see, there's just a ton of confluence within this general range and area. So yeah, that's exactly why we took the play. I hope you guys enjoyed. Continue to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.